far, so we're getting close. I'll go ahead and get started. Everyone, I'm Margaret Foster. I am the pro bono project attorney at Legal Aid of Arkansas, and just want to welcome you to this presentation. I've opened up a chat box. I'm not sure, because I'm not familiar with this program. I've never used this program before. I'm not sure how chat works. There's a chat from Corey to everyone. I'm not sure if anyone sends a chat, if everyone will be able to see it. I would imagine you can see Corey's chat. So if you have any question at all, type it. I know Corey and I will be able to see it, and we'll share it with everybody else. Yeah, if you have any questions at all during the presentation, just go ahead and send them through the chat. I don't know, Corey or Valerie, do you know if people can ask questions or if this is the only way that they can contact me, is through the chat?
Yeah, I think through the chat would be best.
Okay, that's what we'll do then. Okay, I'm going to get off camera and allow you to look at the PowerPoint, and we'll go ahead and get started. Again, thank you so much for being here today. This is a presentation I've done a couple of times for larger organizations, but I thought that it was something that we should open up to a wider audience and share some information about who Legal Aid is, what you can do working with Legal Aid to help provide legal services to citizens in Arkansas who can't necessarily afford your valuable legal services, and also tell you a good bit about why you are needed in this effort. Okay, there we go. In the state of Arkansas, there are two major legal aid organizations that provide civil legal services to needy Arkansans. One is Legal Aid of Arkansas, and the other is the Center for Arkansas Legal Services. The organizations are very, very similar in many ways, and generally what we have in Arkansas is a general geographic division. But both organizations have one shared goal. In some, our goal is to diminish the justice gap, or the difference between what the civil legal needs of low-income Arkansans are and the resources that are available to fill those needs. So we're both focusing on, both organizations are focusing on providing necessary legal services to needy Arkansans. In addition to Legal Aid of Arkansas and the Center for Arkansas Legal Services, there are a number of organizations that provide different kinds of legal services. I know most of you have heard of the Arkansas Access to Justice Commission. They provide a help service desk. They don't provide generally direct civil legal services, but they provide a help desk where attorneys can participate and answer specific questions that come up. There are also, things along the lines of Peace at Home and other similar organizations that are focused on one specific area of justice and specific geographic areas. Because I'm with Legal Aid of Arkansas, I'm going to spend a little more time talking about Legal Aid of Arkansas because I know more about it. But as I said, CALS and Legal Aid of Arkansas are very similar organizations and have very similar distribution, work groups, and similar ways of functioning. And I'll point out sometimes when those things are different. Legal Aid of Arkansas is a nonprofit organization. It's been around more than 50 years in its various entities, and it provides free legal services in civil cases to low-income individuals in Arkansas. It serves 31 of the 75 counties in Arkansas, and we have offices in various parts of the northern and central to northeastern part of the state. In addition, although Pulaski County itself is not part of our service area, it's part of Cal's service area, Legal Aid of Arkansas has offices in Pulaski County in Little Rock. We have the Fair Housing Office as part of our housing group, and our office at the main Arkansas Children's Hospital in Little Rock as part of the medical legal partnership that Legal Aid of Arkansas is involved in. Our funding comes from a variety of grants and donations, many of them from governmental entities and agencies. Legal Services Corporation is a big funder for Legal Aid of Arkansas, and we also have donations from trusts and individuals. There are more than 60 on staff at Legal Aid of Arkansas, and that includes 30 attorneys. And as I indicated to you, we cover 31 counties, so that's about one attorney per county. And I think that you can just very quickly do the math there and see that that really isn't enough to cover what the need is. We're divided into 4 substantive work groups, and I'll just give you a little bit of background about each of them so you know a little bit about what we do and then what kind of pro bono cases we're involved in. The work groups are domestic justice, consumer, housing, and economic justice. The domestic justice work group is really our largest work group and has a significant number of the cases that come through Legal Aid of Arkansas. Focuses on domestic violence and adverse child experiences, anything that could have an impact on an adverse impact on children. We have a special grant that deals with children under the age of 5 and looks at adverse childhood experiences with those kids. We take on cases for divorce if there's violence present or some other factor that makes it more than just your regular divorce that somebody could handle on their own. A lot of guardianships, both minor and adult, that's a significant amount of what we do, and both the divorce and guardianships are big issues in our pro bono cases. Child custody and adoption cases, birth certificate changes, and orders of protection are also included in the domestic justice rubric, and many of those cases are ones that we try to place with pro bono attorneys. The next group is consumer. And the consumer work group at Legal Aid of Arkansas is focused on protecting the income and the assets of Arkansans that have limited or no access to justice without the assistance of Legal Aid of Arkansas and its pro bono volunteers. One of the big things that the consumer work group is involved in is criminal record sealing. I'm sure that most of you are aware that criminal histories have a significant negative impact on citizens in Arkansas. Those who have a felony or misdemeanor criminal history, it can prevent them from getting jobs, prevent them from getting housing. There are numerous landlords throughout the states who will not take somebody who has a criminal history. The consumer group is also involved in assisting clients with bankruptcies in situations where there's a threatened loss of wages, transportation, or housing. They deal with debt collection and fair credit reporting issues, auto fraud, identity theft, financial exploitation of the elderly, and different kinds of scams. We also have a low-income tax clinic that operates throughout the state and are also involved in student loans. I have to say, in doing this, I'm so used to doing presentations by Zoom and seeing people's faces and reactions and looking to see if there are questions out there or whatever. And this is a completely different presentation model. And so again, I just want to reiterate, if you have any kind of questions at all, feel free to put them in the chat. I will see them and get to them. Okay, the next work group that I want to talk about is housing. We have two divisions in our housing work group. We have a fair housing component that looks at discrimination based upon a variety of different factors. And as I indicated before, the office for our fair housing is in Little Rock. We also do very traditional housing issues with the eviction defenses, to the extent that there are eviction defenses and different tenants' rights and other things. Under the housing group, we also have wills, estates, and power of attorney. And again, this is a large portion of what the pro bono group is involved in. You know, a lot of the work that is done by pro bono attorneys under the housing group deals with these wills, estates, and powers of attorney. Part of that is because with eviction defenses, the turnaround time is so fast that it's often difficult to get volunteer attorneys involved in it. The pro bono group has been very active in doing that. And, you know, again, with the eviction defenses that are available in Arkansas, this is often just a means to provide some additional time for the client or the tenant to be able to get out of the facility or raise enough money to take care of the outstanding balance that's available, or be able to get out of the place, give them another week or two to move. The last specific work group that I want to talk about is economic justice. And they're involved in different types of entitlements. Look at disability rights, Social Security, Medicaid, different kinds of special ed issues. So things involving any kind of plans for special education in the school, different employment claims. There's not a lot of involvement from pro bono attorneys in these areas at this time. It's not something that's foreclosed. It's just that there generally hasn't been a great need for it. The needs are greater in other areas. But under the economic justice umbrella, our medical legal partnership component. And for Legal Aid of Arkansas, the medical legal partnership is active for Arkansas Children's Hospital in Little Rock and in Northwest Arkansas, as well as a Mid-South and Mid-Delta systems. I know that CALS also has a medical legal partnership. I'm not sure where they are, but that's something that they're also involved in. And Legal Aid of Arkansas's medical legal partnership was, I think, one of the first in the country to have a corporate sponsor. And so for years we went along working with a corporate sponsor for this, which was wonderful to have that support. The corporate sponsor is no longer involved. And so we're always looking for additional support for medical legal partnership issues. The kinds of cases that are seen through the medical legal partnership are ones that are generally referred from the hospitals themselves, from treaters, from social service workers, and you can see that they fall under a wide variety of the work that Legal Aid does. Just about anything that could impact a family going through medical issues where they need to focus their attention on getting the child well, you know, keeping the child safe with the medical issues that are ongoing. All of those things are ways to relieve the burden on the family and allow them to focus on on the health issues that they need to focus on. Okay, in addition to the work groups that I've talked about already, we also have some kind of specialized areas too. Veterans issues, Legal Aid of Arkansas is involved with the Veterans Helpline. We've been doing that with a volunteer for a number of years. And we work with the VA in Northwest Arkansas. I know that CALS has been doing training on veterans issues to provide attorneys with the specific types of certification they need to handle specialized veterans cases. Of course, a veterans case can be anything. They can have any kind of issue that anyone else does. But in addition, there are some areas that are very specialized and you need specific training in them. Another specialized area that both organizations work in and that we're working together on is substance use disorder. There's a current Beyond Opioids project that's going on that's funded by a 3-year grant that was provided to CALS and Legal Aid of Arkansas to allow these organizations to focus on providing a more specified range of legal services and support to individuals who are dealing with a substance use disorder, which has had such a significant impact on Arkansans. In terms of Legal Aid of Arkansas, I've talked to you about who the different groups are, the different work groups, et cetera, some of the employees. We, as I indicated, about 30 of the employees are attorneys. We also have interpreters, both for Spanish language speaking and also Marshallese, because that's a significant portion of our clientele in Northwest Arkansas. The pro bono team at Legal Aid of Arkansas consists of 4 people. I'm one of them. Grenita Johnson is the director of pro bono, and we have 2 case coordinators that I hope you'll have a chance to deal with in the future. Billy McKenzie and Eileen Ortega are the 2 case coordinators who are involved in the assignment of our pro bono cases. And maybe you'll get to know more about them in the future, I hope. I want to talk a bit now about why is pro bono critical to providing access to justice in Arkansas? Just to give you a little bit of background, I think most of you know this. Most of you are very aware of the factors that impact Arkansans, but it's something that I go back to all the time. It's something that I remind myself of continually. In Arkansas, the poverty level is quite high. When I first did this slide, it was listed as over 18%, with 1 out of every 5.5 residents of Arkansas living in poverty. I saw something last week in a Forbes report that listed the poverty level at 17% and listed us not in the bottom 5 states for the poverty level, but number 6. None of those statistics are good, but it's good to see things moving in the direction that we want them to. Another important statistic is the number of children under 5 living in poverty. And the number that I had when I originally did this was 30%. There's some indications that that may have changed somewhat over the last year, but I don't have updated numbers right now. Another factor that emphasizes the importance of pro bono in Arkansas is the impact of substance use disorders, something that we talked about just a minute ago. Not only is it Does it impact the individual in terms of their daily living? It has so many impacts in terms of their legal needs and the need for legal support. In Arkansas, there are about 7,000 licensed attorneys for a population of about 3 million. It's one of the lowest attorney population ratios in the country. I think we've generally been in last or second to last or third to last. We were last for a while, but I saw something this past year that put New Mexico as the state with the fewest attorneys available to provide legal services to the needy in that state. The last thing that I want to talk about in terms of why pro bono is so important in Arkansas is something that's exemplified by this, something that I refer to as legal deserts. This map shows the distribution of attorneys in Legal Aid of Arkansas's service area. And I know that CALS could show, a map. I just don't have the numbers for CALS that would have numbers that were similarly low or lower in many of their counties. But you can see we have counties in Arkansas that have 4, 5, 6 attorneys. And that would include a prosecutor and a public defender. A very, very limited, pool from which to draw. And the circle that I'm doing here is really the area in Legal Aid of Arkansas where we find the most difficulty placing cases. And you can see there aren't a lot of attorneys in that area, and there's a great deal of need for legal services. The last factor that I want to talk to you about in terms of the importance of a continuing supply of pro bono attorneys and people who are interested in these issues and willing to take on the cases, why this is so important, are the statistics that are set out in this. These are the cases, the number of cases that we have not been able to assign to pro bono attorneys. And as you can see, that number is growing year by year, with some ups and downs as you would expect. Things, fairly stable until about 2017. And so first looking at these statistics, I would think that, well, the pandemic had such an impact. And of course, the pandemic did have an impact, but it's not the only impact. You can see that difficulty with placing cases started before that. And there are a lot of things that you can point to without having a definitive answer of, this is the reason. There are a number of things that are going on. Many attorneys who were generalists in some of these communities that I pointed out to you that have a very low number of attorneys, many of them are aging out and retiring. And people who were kind of like the bedrock for those communities aren't there anymore, and there aren't other people going in and setting up practices, which is why you've seen, the universities being interested in setting up and focusing on trying to increase access to justice in the Delta, encouraging students to think about going back to their hometowns, the places that they left, or trying to live in communities that don't have a lot of access to justice. While solo and small firms, and by small firms I mean less than 10, are still the majority of legal practitioners in the country. We've seen people going more and more to corporate legal departments that are getting bigger and bigger. national or larger firms are opening up offices all over the place. We have national firms who have joined the ranks of Arkansas attorneys, and we're delighted to have them here. But again, they're not the generalist who is able to take on any kind of case, and for a pro bono client, without having to do a lot of gearing up to learn how to handle that type of case. Okay, now it's time to turn from what the issues are and some of the problems, and let's focus on why low-income Arkansans need you and why you want to contribute to them. What kind of benefits are there for you? It provides an opportunity for attorneys to deliver much needed legal help to the most vulnerable populations. I can tell you the work that I did, I practiced for more than 30 years in a large metropolitan area, and handled products liability and toxic tort and medical malpractice cases, and found it very, very challenging and really enjoyed what I did. But there was a part of me that always wanted to do and did pro bono during that time, because there was a human connection and an immediate response. I knew that I was making a difference in somebody's life right there, and that was very, very important to me and provided a lot of fulfillment for me. A lot of firms and corporations are interested in the malpractice aspects, and Legal Aid of Arkansas and CALS and similar organizations provide malpractice coverage for the work that volunteer attorneys do while they're volunteering for legal aid. It provides opportunities for collaboration with other attorneys. I think all of us know that this is a business that's very much focused on referrals and networking and knowing other people, and those collaborative efforts are just enhance your legal experience and enhance your reputation. It provides a diversity of experience. Again, when I was practicing with the work that I did, there were days that I wanted to do something else other than the trial I was getting ready for, or a couple of months off, but some other type of work, and looking at things that I would not be involved in and had absolutely nothing to do, in essence, with the work that I was doing. And they provided a way for me to clear my mind, to develop more creative thinking skills, problem solving in different ways. Pro bono activities can also be very effective in ways that I'm mentioning to build skills for lawyers as they're developing in their career, and the sense of fulfillment that I've already talked about. In addition, it provides support for the judiciary, for the women and men on the bench who are very focused on providing access to justice. A lot of their time can be taken up by pro se litigants who are not necessarily equipped to handle the issues that they're trying to have addressed before the courts, and really sometimes need more support than the judiciary and their clerks and staff are able to provide. In recognition of how important pro bono is, the Arkansas Supreme Court allows CLE credit for for pro bono activity. And under the rules of professional responsibility, this isn't something that I have talked about yet, but this is another one of the reasons that pro bono work is so important. Every lawyer in Arkansas has a responsibility to provide legal services to those unable to pay. And Rule 6.1 sets out an aspirational goal that every lawyer should try to render at least 50 hours of pro bono services each year, focusing on legal services to people of limited means. And so providing those services without fee or expectation of fee to persons of limited means, or charitable and religious organizations or other types of organizations that assist people of limited means. Now back to the CLE credit for pro bono, because I think that that's something that many of you are interested in. The rules for CLE in Arkansas authorized the CLE board to establish regulations to grant CLE credit for pro bono services, and set a maximum of 3 hours per reporting period as the amount that could be reported for pro bono activity. The specific rule that allows it is Rule 4.04 in the regulations of the Arkansas Continuing Legal Education Board. And in sum, what this rule provides is that you can have a maximum of 3 CLE credits per each CLE year. You get 1 hour of credit for every 3 hours of pro bono work that is done. The CLE credit may only be claimed for services that are provided directly to people of limited means at no cost. So a little earlier when I talked about the aspirational goal, and I said that the pro bono work can be direct legal services or directly legal services for clients, or legal services for organizations that provide legal services for clients, the legal or other services for clients. The CLE credit itself only goes for legal services that are provided to persons of limited means. In addition, the CLE work has to be performed under the supervision of a sponsoring entity, which includes Legal Aid of Arkansas, CALS, Arkansas Access to Justice, various bar associations, legal bar associations throughout the state, and other organizations that obtain such authority. I include this part. I don't know if it applies to any of you, but the administrative orders of the court provide that pro bono services can be performed by non-admitted licensed attorneys who are not admitted in Arkansas but are licensed in another jurisdiction. And I include that because when I talk to corporations, they often have people who are licensed in other states, but not in Arkansas. This work has to be done, though, under from an assignment from a legal aid organization such as Legal Aid of Arkansas. I want to pivot a bit and talk now about pro bono opportunities that are available through Legal Aid of Arkansas and are available to address some of the issues that we're talking about. For Legal Aid of Arkansas, we have a very traditional model of assigning pro bono cases. They come in through our helpline. They're assessed. The person speaks with a paralegal or attorney after we determine whether or not they qualify for services, and a legal interview is done. And a decision is made whether this is a case we can accept, whether it's one we want to try to place pro bono, or whether it's one that's going to stay in-house. With 30 attorneys, I think you can understand that the number of cases that stay in-house has to be limited because there are only so many attorneys on staff, and there are only so many resources to deal with these issues. However, for Legal Aid of Arkansas, and I'm sure this is also true for CALS, a significant proportion of the work that comes in stays in-house. I think last year the numbers I saw was up around 90%, but we would like to see that go down and for more and more of the work to be done through a pro bono model where cases go out to people. And they handle them. But as you can see with the numbers going down, that's more and more difficult. When cases are assigned to go out pro bono, the case coordinators, specifically Hailing and Billy, both get involved and start working, trying to find attorneys who will accept the case. And, you know, often that they're very successful with that. As you can see, there are times that they are not. And you know, one of the things we're in the process of doing a survey with our pro bono attorneys and finding out reasons why people aren't able to take cases. But one of the biggest responses that we've been getting, one of the most common responses that we've run into is that they just don't have the time, or they need a more limited model of service, something with a more limited time commitment, where they can count on it's only going to be this many hours, or you know, one day a month, or instead of taking on a whole case, which could take up more time than they originally anticipated, and without knowing what else is coming down the block, it makes it very, very difficult to commit. So in addition to the traditional model, we also have a number of limited service models, and I want to talk a bit about some of those and what we're doing with those. For the traditional model, and some of the limited service models, we have, I've got a list here that are the main types of cases we get for pro bono. This really kind of encompasses the majority. It's not that there's not, you know, occasionally something that falls outside of this realm, but most of the cases fall under this. In addition to the full service, as I said, we have more limited, and one of them is clinics. Our clinics are generally a half-day event, usually set up for a morning. Sometimes it's a full day. The day before, we might do an hour CLE if we have a lot of new attorneys and it's something that they want some training on, do some training on how to deal with these issues, especially in areas like criminal record sealing, where the laws recently changed, and so not everyone is necessarily up on all of the changes that have occurred. We do, in the past year, we've done criminal record sealing clinics, Wilson Estates clinics, and name and gender marker change clinics. Not a lot of training is needed for the name and gender marker change clinics, and I think that that's one that the attorneys that have volunteered for that have found a lot of satisfaction and admiration for the clients that they're dealing with. The criminal record sealing clinics, our most recent one was with a corporate sponsor. We worked with Tyson and the Salvation Army in Washington County, and had a very successful criminal record sealing clinic with that, and you know, are planning another one with the Benton County Salvation Army for soon in the future. We've done wills and estates clinics for various entities. are currently working with the Benton County Bar Association to plan one for the, I don't know what their new name is, the Single Parent Scholarship Fund. It used to be the Benton County Single Parent Scholarship Fund, but now single parent scholarship funds around the state have grouped together. And so this will be a larger group, but those estate planning and everything is so important for these young students who are single parents and who need to make sure if anything happens to them that their kids are taken care of. Again, these pro bono activities are things that you walk away from feeling that you've really made a difference in somebody's life. Okay, with the limited service model, in addition to things like clinics and help desks, I think I may have skipped a page. Let me just see. Yeah. Ah, there it is. Yeah, we do have help desks in county courthouses. There's one in Washington County Courthouse. It's by telephone now. It's not in person, but we're help without providing a attorney-client relationship, but assistance is provided to pro se litigants. Benton County has a help desk. CALS, I know, is involved in help desks and also has something called Lawyers in the Library, where they have clinics set up in libraries in different parts of their service area. And as I said, the help desk for the VA is something that we participate in Northwest Arkansas. Another kind of help desk is the free legal answers that Arkansas Access to Justice does, which I think clients find very, very helpful. Last thing that I want to mention before I'm going to show you a couple of videos, but the limited service model that we're currently working with. Because there have been so many clients that we weren't able to place, we've tried to provide assistance with pro se litigation, developing limited services packets. There were already self-help forms on the website, but far too many clients found them to be too great a burden for their level of skill, or they simply didn't have the means to be able to do the printing and typing that was needed. And so what we did is we started developing limited service packets using form pleadings, and we worked with law students who would work with the clients to fill out the pleadings that were necessary, designed form instructions to give to the client, because as we all know, things never go exactly the way that you expect them. There's always some kind of snafu or little glitch with some kind of service issue, or you're not getting the correct information from the court. And so many of these clients that we prepared the documents for were calling back needing additional instructions. So currently with these limited service packets that we're in the process of finalizing, is we're looking for attorneys who are interested in taking on this kind of limited service for a client. Let's say somebody is out in a part of the state where you can't go to court for them, but you can be involved in assisting them in developing their pro se packet, in providing the instructions for them, so you can prepare the pleadings for them, the instructions, filling in the additional information that aren't in the form instructions, and being available to answer a question or two as questions come up, you know, in the process of handling their case. I can tell you I've had one client after another follow up with me, immediately after their day in court where they represented themselves with our assistance, talking about the success that they had in obtaining their informa pauperis order, in getting service on the abusive spouse, and obtaining the divorce. All of those things are so important in moving the cases along. I haven't seen any questions in the chat, so I'm assuming that there aren't any. There's something else that I wanted to mention to you in terms of the clinics that we were talking about. We used to do our clinics as in-person clinics, and of course with COVID, we needed to pivot to virtual clinics, and we found that to be a very, very effective way of handling the clinics, and haven't encountered as many roadblocks as we initially thought we might have. Grandma and Grandpa have been there with their phone with a grandkid nearby who's helping them log on so that they can participate and meet with their attorneys over Zoom, to get the legal documents prepared, to get the legal advice. It's worked out very, very well, and we find it to be a very good model. There are always going to be clients who prefer one-on-one, but a significant percentage of the clients that we serve have been interested in and participated in virtual clinics, and I do see this as a wave of the future. In follow-up to this, I'm going to be sending each of you some forms to be added to pro bono panels. If you're interested in working with us, if you're in, I'll send you legal aids, I'll send you CALs form to be added to theirs. I told you about how we assign our cases. CALS does things a little differently. They just started on their web page, they have a list, a short description of the cases that are ready for pro bono assignments. So you can take a look at it, see if it's something you're interested in. If you're interested in, contact them and get information on the specific client so that you can do your conflicts check and see whether or not that's a case that you can take on. You're going to get a form in addition to the form from me, the forms from me for pro bono work, which will also include information, not just whether or not you're interested in full case representation, but if you're interested in participating in clinics, if you're interested in more limited service issues. I saw that there were a couple of people from one firm participating, and I would love to take an opportunity with a firm to try to set something up for once every 2 months to host a 2-hour to 3-hour clinic and on a specific topic, and meet with clients to gather information on something along the lines of criminal record sealing or adult guardianships, and then work on those adult guardianships. We're willing to work with you for anything that you want to do and design something to meet your needs and provide provide opportunities for you to get the most out of your experience. I'm going to end this by just showing you 2 short videos from 2 of our let's see if I can find them. Two of our pro bono volunteers. Nope, they disappeared. Okay, I'm going to find them. It's going to take me just a minute.
Hey, Margaret, if you hover over your bottom dashboard right there, they should pop up.
I've got the dashboard on the side where...
Yeah, if you click on that circle, yep, you'll see the...
There they are. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, here we go, because I already had them geared up to where I wanted them to start. Okay, the first one is Amy Wilcox. She's with the Friday Firm, and she talks a little bit about her experiences with pro bono.
It's a little bit soft. You may want to turn it up just a bit.
You can't hear it?
It's really soft. I think it's just the low volume. You could, I think maybe the volume button on the video itself.
It's set to its maximum.
Okay, and then on your dashboard there, I don't know if that one's turned up all the way.
It's to its maximum.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's at 100%.
Well, we may just want to link these videos in the chat and then people can watch them on their computer.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'll go ahead and stop it. I let it go ahead and play because you could still read what she was saying, even if you couldn't hear it, and I apologize for that. But I see that Corey did put the link to it if you want to hear her. And there's another attorney, Robert Riley. I have his too, but I'm not going to go ahead and play his since the sound is so low. I want to thank everybody for participating in this presentation. I think that I hope that I've provided enough information that you feel that can see what we have for you and what kind of volunteer opportunities are there or which ones we can add. We can add to make volunteering with legal aid meaningful for you. And I hope you're going to be joining the ranks of the pro bono attorneys in Arkansas who are providing such necessary legal assistance to low-income Arkansans. Thank you so much for joining us. Do we have any questions before I sign off?
If any questions come in, I'll read them out loud. But Margaret, I just wanted to say thank you to you. I really appreciate this presentation. I also wanted to just note that we'll send you a CLE form for you to fill out. So thank you so much for joining. And yeah, I hope that you are interested in spending some time with legal aid.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.